You'll cue me, Chief. Minister, mask. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone who's watching this briefing. Today is a continuation of the regular briefings that the South African government is providing to all South Africans, to people in the region and in the continent, and indeed the whole world. Let us invite Minister in the Presidency acting, Minister Khumbudzo, to give us an update of the situation in the country. Minister.
Good afternoon. Yesterday, the whole world celebrated Nelson Mandela Day, and South Africans heeded the call of His Excellency President Mandela Cyril Ramaphosa to clean up our country. In true South African spirit, we continue to pull together for the common good. As the cleaning up of South Africa continues, we would like to extend government's appreciation for the efforts of communities, civil society, business across all sectors, the non-governmental organizations for their continued partnership in protecting and cleaning up South Africa. On security updates, since our last briefing on Friday, 16th July 2021, the situation in Gauteng has completely stabilized and the cleanup and business continuity efforts were fully operational for those businesses that were not completely vandalized. President Ramaphosa, in his capacity as the president of the governing party and other leaders of the governing ANC, either joined the cleanup campaigns in instances where the community-driven cleaning up initiatives were underway, or they observed the damage wrought by the riots and the repair work by property owners. In KwaZulu-Natal, the situation is now stable and no new incidents of looting were reported. However, 3 additional deaths have been reported. Ministers and provincial leadership led by the Premier, Sihle Zikalala, continued with stakeholder and community engagements to calm the tensions within the communities. Therefore, the total recorded deaths to date as a result of this violence is 215. In terms of arrests, and this is the latest update which we just got in now. So you've got 6 arrests of the key instigators, and of those arrested, 3 suspects had already appeared, but they were remanded in police custody for bail hearings later in the week. We understand that there may be an appearance tomorrow or 2 appearances tomorrow, and the police will update us on that. And one of those who have been arrested was given bail as per the next joint statement, and the details of these cases will be provided later, but charges against them include incitement to commit public violence, and further arrests are expected soon. And the arrest we are referring to, we are not referring to the arrest that relates to the looting, and those arrests, the police continue to work with communities to make sure those who were responsible for the looting are arrested and those dealt with according to the provisions of the law. On reopening of economic activity, as reported on Friday, the N2 and N3 routes reopened for traffic, and to date, no incidents have been reported since the reopening. The law enforcement agencies, including the military, continue to patrol the routes, conduct roadblocks, and man the identified potential hotspot areas as agreed with industry. And we want to clarify this part, that the people are saying we have not provided escorts for trucks and so forth. There was no agreement to provide escorts. The request was that there must be increased patrols, and there were identified hotspots which were agreed between policing, the military, and also the major road users in the logistics sector. And those hotspots are continuing to be manned and serviced, and that's for that part, there have not been any incidents since the reopening on Friday. In terms of rail network, the main line and Kronstadt lines are operational, including the north and south coast lines that service between Durban and Richards Bay. And there is one line in the Durban-Richards Bay line that has been agreed between Transnet and industry that it should be closed or shut down for routine maintenance. Both the ports of Durban and Richards Bay are operational, and the export cold chains are resuming, and citrus has started to export out. On food shortages in KZN, there were previous reports of food shortages in KZN. We can confirm that stores have been replenished with the improvement of food supplies from Gauteng and the ports. It is in areas where shopping centers have been completely vandalized and that people may have to travel to adjacent towns to purchase their supplies. And on economic activity restoration, as indicated on Friday, ministers of the economic cluster are working with business to ensure a speedy return to full economic activity. The cluster is considering interventions that will ensure affected small businesses are able to return to their businesses, to return their businesses to full operations when the big businesses also return. In that regard, the ministers of the economic cluster should be able to join me in the briefing within this week to outline the plans of supporting the full return to economic activity. In terms of assistance to those who have lost livelihoods, the TERS is immediately available for employees affected who were members of the UIF or who their employers were members of the UIF. The Minister of Employment and Labour requested us to clarify that this time around, the TERS will be given directly to employees to avoid the situation we experienced with the first round of TERS when we dealt with the first COVID-19 intervention. We are also in the process of providing immediate food relief to households, targeting areas affected by the looting where people have no access to food. The provincial departments of social development will be speeding up social relief and of distress program to provide support in the form of food parcel, cash, and food vouchers. We are working hard to bring all SASSA offices into operation, and the cash pay points are expected to resume services from the 19th of July, which is today, in all areas that have been declared safe to operate. In conclusion, we are calling upon the communities to assist law enforcement agencies by not buying stolen property. There's one matter I'd like to clarify, the instance where the media is running with that the Minister of Defense has contradicted the President. We want to clarify that the position of government is that, as articulated by the President, of an attempt at insurrection in the country. And that perspective is informed by discussions at the National Security Council, which is chaired by the President, and he receives briefing from the military commanders and also the other law enforcement agencies. And to that effect, any contrary view, we do not know where it comes from, is not the view that is supported by any facts by our law enforcement agencies, including the military. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. You provide the credible information. That is the information that is from the South African government. Minister, let us welcome questions that I'll request Takalani to take us through.
No, thank you. The first question is related to. The first question is related to the basic income grant, and the question is asked by Yanis Roberts from Media 24. And the question is, what are the funding options the presidency would beg for basic income grant? And the Institute of Economic Justice and others have said the only way to pay for its large costs, maybe 120 billion per year, is through a significant wealth tax. And the second question, is from Rebecca from Daily Maverick. And the question is, yesterday, the president said government was actively discussing a basic income grant after the riots. Is it possible to get details on how far along this process is? And the third question is from Nokukanya from Jacaranda FM. The question is, how far is government in looking at the feasibility of the basic income grant, especially in the wake of the unrest? And is there a likelihood of returning to the special grant of 350 rand to cater for the job losses expected from the unrest? Thanks.
Do you have the last one?
The last one, it's on life Esidimeni, and the question is, how much compensation for life Esidimeni families have been paid out so far? And
So
the question was asked from Marvin Adams, who is a freelance journalist.
So that's the last batch of questions that we have.
Oh, no, we still have other questions.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Maybe, Minister, given that some of those questions were repetitive, can you give us just the other batch of questions?
On the other batch of questions, we have a question that relates to social cohesion and is also asked by Marvin Adams. And the question is, what is the government policy on social cohesion programs? And the following question is asking where the deputy president is. And also the question is from Marvin Adams. And the following question is from Tarika from ETV News. And the question is, government did not, at the onset of the violence, deploy 25,000 soldiers. Instead, soldiers were only deployed to national key points. And the question is, what does that say about our intelligence service? And will anyone be held accountable for the manner in which the crisis was handled? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister. That is the batch of questions that we have. And may I welcome Minister to give a response.
Thank you. Let me deal with the easy ones first. Life Esidimeni is the progress has to be requested from the government of Gauteng. That matter affects the department, the government of provincial government of Gauteng. It has nothing to do with this security upgrades and briefings. So we'll request that you ask that question there. In terms of the whereabouts of the DP, the presidency issued a statement earlier in July indicating that the president has granted the DP leave to go and seek medical attention as part of his follow-up treatment in Russia. And the DP is still in Russia undergoing medical treatment for the ailment that all of us South Africans are fully aware of, and that he receives his treatment in Russia. And in terms of whether government will back any social cohesion programs, government is not only backing social cohesion programs, government is committed to a social cohesion program, and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture runs social cohesion programs in partnership with various partners, civil society organization, and the Moral Regeneration Network. Part of building this country will not have taken place if we do not have social cohesion programs. And that work remains work in progress, because the differences that were visited upon South Africa during the long years of apartheid will not be healed over a mere 30 years. They will take us time to heal, and that commitment remains. In terms of the basic income grant, I thought the president was clear that we are discussing the basic income grant and its facets, and what are the options and possibilities as it regards to that. And it will be very presumptuous of myself to want to come and say it's at this stage. What I want to confirm is that there is discussion, and the Department of Social Development and the social cluster, they are running with that and looking at the options that are possible. There is no particular option that's on the table, but there are various options that are being investigated. What is the commitment of government is that there must be an intervention for South Africa to deal with the levels of poverty and unemployment that faces our community. And if a basic income grant or something similar to that or related will have to come in, and it may, given that South Africa is unique, we'll have to put a program that supports our ability to make sure that no person goes hungry, but contribute also economically to the development of this country. There is no discussion of whether it will include taxes and other things. In terms of the refraining question around whether the intelligence services failed us and that the slow response from the military, we must indicate that when the military was brought in, they moved quick enough, because it takes a minimum of 7 days for the military to deploy, but they deployed quicker than that. Yes, initially the planned deployment was for the key national points and other key infrastructure, but when the situation escalated, the military ramped up to the relevant numbers. We have indicated on our part as government that, of course, there are lessons learned, and there will be a review of what has happened, and necessary corrections or further corrections will be undertaken from those that have not been implemented so far. And of course, in any environment where there are, if mistakes are deliberate, there should be consequences, and this case will not be different. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Minister, with your kind permission, there is a hand from the auditorium. If you can allow us to take that hand, you would introduce yourself and the media house that you are from, and you may ask your question.
Thank you so much. My name is Linda Mnisi from Newsroom Africa. Acting Minister, I'd just like to know, you've already indicated that the details around some of the cases will be revealed at a later stage. But since these people, you say, have appeared in court, shouldn't we be in a position to know who they are? Because they've been charged in court, I presume, and what they are charged for. Earlier on, we spoke to the NPA, and they did not know much about these cases and where these people would be appearing. So do you have a number in terms of the number of people that are yet to appear in court? Where are they kept? How long have they been kept? Because if they were kept, they were arrested on Friday, one would assume that the 48 hours has lapsed. That's all for now.
Thank you. Wait for take the mic from the back.
Thank you so much. Francis Luagamachate from Progressive Independent News Agency. I think my questions will be quick ones. The first will just be a follow-up on the Deputy President's whereabouts. How is his progress so far, and when is he likely to return to duties? And the second one is, from government's analysis, what are actually the causes, or what caused the recent riots that we have seen? I want to believe that they were not actually all about the arrest of the former president, but from government's perspective, what are the causes actually? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tagalani, do we have the few questions on the WhatsApp that you can read them?
No, thanks. The first question that we have right now it's from Christian Duplessis from Network 24, and the question is: will the minister please give an update on the theft of ammunition last week, and provide more details as to how this has happened? And the following question is from Alex from News 24. And said, if that is the case, I think is the follow-up question. The follow-up question from what the minister has already answered in the first batch, that if that is the case, that the defense minister's view is not supported by any facts, then has the president approached her to clarify why she made those remarks, and will action be taken against the minister for lying? And we have Alice from Spotlight. Is there an update on restoring medicine security? And the situation is quite grave on the ground, especially in and around Phoenix still. Can we get an idea if contingency plans and what the plan is to restore medicine security, especially the ARVs and TB medicines? And we have Vikas Berger from Network 24. Can you confirm or deny that a warning report on possible violent protests was compiled before the looting started? And apparently, the president and the ministers in the security cluster were aware of this report, but decided not to act on it. Is this correct? And if so, why? Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think that was the last page that we have, Tagalan.
Maybe to bring this one in because it's the last one.
Yes.
The question is the issue of recovery of stolen goods, are looted medicines included? And can you give an update on which and where, if you have recovered them? Thanks. This was the last question. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. These were the questions that we had for the day. And thank you very much.
Thank you. There was a question which was following up on the DP. The DP is receiving treatment in Russia. He will return soon as his medical team advises that he is able to travel and is good to get back to work. He will return, but we are expecting him very soon. The second issue was the question around what caused the recent uprisings. I think that has been widely reported. We would rather not go back there, and we move on to what are we doing to make sure that does not happen again. We have confirmed that it was orchestrated, it was instigated, and it was planned, and there has been action taken. And in terms of the theft of ammunition, the issue of theft of ammunition, last week we communicated that there was ammunition recovered, and of course it will have to be treated through the forensics and related processes that the police will do to make sure the source and all those things. That is as far as we can divulge on that, other than whatever we go further will compromise the investigation. And there was a question around whether there was a warning report, which was ignored. We have already clarified that the reports that have come through were acted upon timelessly, and that the lessons that have to be learned have been learned, and the gaps have been picked up, and the corrective measures have been taken to avoid a lapse in that situation. But I can say to you that there's no additional information that was available that was not acted upon when it was supposed to be acted upon. In terms of stolen goods, whether the stolen goods include medicines, yes, the stolen goods include medicines, but given the issue of the medicine security and vulnerability, a medicine was stolen, you don't know whether it's safe to further use or you must simply discard, and the normal route has been to discard, or you use it for evidence in court, of course, but you must discard it because you cannot, if it has been tampered with, you cannot really vouch for its safety. If you recall, the stealing has included the theft of blood sachets at the blood banks, and that shows you the severity and the inhumane nature of the instigators of these riots and this attempt to undermine the authority of the state. And the issue around medical security, in particular in KZN, is indeed there is a challenge which has been identified around ARVs and TB medicines, but work is underway to make sure that it can be replenished quick enough, and they are considering various options to do that so that those severely affected, because we know those who are HIV positive, who needs ARVs, and those who have TB cases, they cannot afford to miss their doses. Otherwise, we are going to be dealing with something that is unthinkable for our country. And more so that in KZN is where the prevalence of HIV is at the highest. So we are moving quick enough to deal with that part of making sure that ARVs and TB medicines are available. And the last question is a question around the cases, the arrests. We have indicated that one has been granted bail. We have indicated that the others have been remanded in custody, and that they will be considered for bail later and will provide the details. We are pleading because of the nature and sensitivity of the allegations leveled against them, which is the allegation of incitement to commit public violence. We are pleading for your patience. By tomorrow morning, we will provide the details of those. But there are things that legally must be tight to make sure that all matters are done. If you are worried about the 48 hours of arrest, the police or law enforcement agency have ensured that they have complied with the continued detention. That's why people have been remanded in police custody. And we are requesting not to divulge their details for now, so that we cannot, because if we compromise that situation, people who are guilty will be let off, because we have bundled up the process of making sure that they are brought to justice. So we are just pleading for your understanding and patience as it regards to that. I'm sure, though there is an interest on reporting and accountability, there's a higher interest of all South Africans to make sure that those who almost brought our country to its knees, are dealt with and cannot be let off the hook by a mere bungling up of process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And this brings us to the end of this briefing. Keep tuned to South African government. Those are the credible people that will give you credible news. And we thank you. This briefing is adjourned.
But I'm pleading that in the means they say they're tightening the list. Auntie,